All right, today we're diving into a technique that is seriously making waves in cosmetic tattooing. It's called hyper microblading, and the promise? It's a big one. Faster work, sharper results, and a method that's way, way simpler than what's come before. So let's jump into the source material and see what it's all about.
But let's start with a question that probably hits home for a lot of you artists out there. Why is it so darn hard to get that perfect, crisp hair stroke? The source material actually makes this fantastic comparison. Think back to when you were a little kid, just learning how to write. Remember tracing letters over and over and over, trying to get your hand to do what your brain wanted? Well, mastering hair strokes can feel just like that. This really frustrating process where one tiny little slip can just throw the whole thing off.
And here's the thing, that difficulty, it isn't just in your head. It's actually built right into the traditional method itself. So first up, let's really break down that challenge and look at the fundamental problems artists have been wrestling with for years using that conventional single needle technique. Okay, so at the very heart of the old school method is this tool, the single round liner, sometimes called the Kim 1RL. We're talking one very sharp, very precise needle. And that sharpness? Well, it's a total double-edged sword. Sure, it can give you incredible detail, but man, is it unforgiving. And that, as we're about to see, is where all the problems start. Because that one little needle is so unforgiving, it just creates this whole domino effect of problems. First, it demands a super steady hand and, frankly, years of practice. It's just so easy to go a little too deep, which causes some serious trauma to the skin. And what happens when the skin gets damaged? Its natural healing response just kicks in and literally pushes the pigment right back out. Boom, there's your poor color retention. So to compensate, artists have to go over the same line 3, maybe even 4 times. Not only does that take forever, but it also skyrockets the chances of getting blurry, inconsistent results. It's a real struggle. So we've laid out all the frustrations with the old way. But what if the solution wasn't just endless practice? What if it was about having a fundamentally better tool? And that brings us to the breakthrough. This is where the hyper microblading pen enters the picture, and it is a completely different way of thinking about hair strokes. And the core difference is, well, it's night and day. Look at this. Instead of one single needle, the hyper microblading tool uses a group of 14 or even 18 needles all working in unison. And that one change solves every single one of the pain points we just talked about. Skin trauma, it drops way down. The number of passes needed, just one. Ease of use, so much easier. And the color retention, excellent. But how is that possible? Well, it's really just simple physics. Think about it like this. One super sharp point concentrates all the pressure right there, making it really easy to go too deep. But when you spread that same amount of force across 14 or 18 different points, the pressure on any single one is way, way lower. The needles can just gently place the pigment right where it needs to go without causing all that trauma. And that right there is the secret to getting amazing color in just one clean pass. So the science behind it totally makes sense. But what's it actually like to use in the real world? This is where it gets really beautiful because it's all about simplicity. In this next part, we're going to look at the 3 main ways you can create strokes with this thing. And it's so intuitive, it just completely flattens that steep learning curve. The technique itself is just incredibly flexible. You can do a classic single stroke for those really clean, sharp lines. You can use what's called a spread dot technique for a softer, more pixelated, textured look. And then there's my favorite, the connected dot method. For those really tricky curved areas where a smooth pull is tough, you just connect the dots. It's a pretty much foolproof way to build a perfect line, piece by piece. In fact, the source material makes this really bold claim about how easy this is to pick up. The whole system is designed to be so straightforward that it's not just for seasoned pros. It pretty much takes those years of painful, frustrating practice right out of the equation. Okay, so it's easier to learn and it's more versatile. That's fantastic for the art. But what does that actually mean for an artist's daily grind, for their bottom line? This is where we get to the business advantage, because a better technique leads directly to a better business. And the numbers here are kind of mind-blowing. By completely getting rid of the need for multiple passes, the source material says hypermicroblading can be up to 4 times faster than the traditional method. 4! Just let that sink in for a second. Think about what that could do for your appointment book. This is really the heart of the efficiency gain. The whole procedure is transformed.
You're going from this slow, careful tracing and retracing process to a confident single-pass application. You get it right the first time every time.
So when you put all of this together, the benefits are just transformative, not just for the artist, but for the client too. You're delivering higher quality work, sharper lines that heal beautifully. It's simpler to master, so artists can get great results way faster. It's so much more comfortable for the client because there's less trauma to the skin. And all of that adds up to more profitability. I mean, when you can do better work in less time, you can see more clients and grow your business. It's a win-win-win.
So what's the final verdict when you combine this kind of efficiency with true artistry? Well, you get a new standard. This isn't about trading speed for quality. It's about getting a perfect fusion of both.
This simple idea is really the philosophy behind the whole thing. It's not about making things more complicated. It's about stripping the process down to its most effective, efficient form to get even better results.
So at the end of the day, we're not just talking about a new pen or a fancy new needle. The source presents this as a fundamental shift in how to think about and create hair strokes, prioritizing skin health, speed, and consistency, all without ever sacrificing the art.
Which really just leaves us with one final thought, and it's a question for every artist listening. Is your current technique helping you do your absolute best work in the best way possible? Or is it creating unnecessary roadblocks between you and faster work, better results, and more growth? It's definitely something to think about.